everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Elevate with C&M Coaching. My name's Maggie. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I hope everyone's having an awesome day. It is tax time, right? Officially, the busy season has begun. So we've got an increase in call volume happening, which is, of course, amazing. So hopefully your sales are increasing as well. I know with the inventory prices right now, that is definitely a little bit of a challenge. I have a wonderful phone call that I would like to share with you guys this week. We've talked a lot on previous podcasts about applications and how to handle them, doing them over the phone, etc., etc. So I thought today, since we are going into what we call the busy season with people getting their tax refunds, I thought today we could talk about a phone call where a customer submitted an actual application on a website, and I'm going to play the outbound phone call for you. So this is the dealership calling the customer. Now, the customer in this case is actually Coach Gina, so she's not a real customer. So we don't have to worry about scrubbing her information, but I will scrub the dealership information. So you will again hear the scramble. But I really want to talk about this because I do feel like these types of calls are incredibly mishandled. So let's check it out.
Hello?
May I speak to Joyce, please?
So the first issue I have with this is that he is clearly on a speakerphone. Now, we should not be calling customers on the speakerphone. If you're going to be placing a lot of phone calls back to back, get a headset. Headsets are so helpful. At the very least, as soon as she answers the phone, you should pick up the receiver. But my advice would definitely be get yourself a good noise-canceling headset.
Yes, this is her. You're speaking to her?
Hey, Joyce, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Saw that you did a online application. Everything's looking pretty good.
So the first thing I would do is I would say, hey, Joyce, thank you so much for taking my call. I really do appreciate the opportunity to work with you. I hope I've caught you at a good time. The reason that I've called today is because I can see you were on our website filling out our application. Is that correct? Try to mention that you hope you've caught them at a good time so they feel like you're being respectful of their time. Also, thank your customer. You want to be different than your competition, and people very rarely thank someone for the opportunity to speak with them. And the very last thing I would say is be very clear about your reason for calling. You don't want the customer to wonder what it is you want. And then give her an opportunity to respond by confirming the type of lead she was, whether it be specific, generic, or a finance lead. You always want to let her confirm that before you go through the rest of your process. That's why we say, it looks like you were online filling out our finance application. Is that correct? And then pause so that she can respond.
I was just basically checking with you to see when would be a good time to try to get you in here.
So, a couple of things. First, be careful about your speaking patterns. Obviously, this is a professional phone call, so we want to make sure that we're speaking professionally. If you're going to offer the customer an appointment, you always want to make sure you're asking with authority and that you're also asking with choices. So I wouldn't say when's would be a good time for you to come in. I would say, when are you more available to come in? I've got time today or tomorrow, which works best for you. I'm going to ask with authority, I'm going to ask with choices, and I want to stay in control of the conversation. But I want to back up for a second because he missed a very key component, which was confirming her answers from the application. Do you know how many phone calls I've heard where the customer has filled out their application online and they've listed that they make $25,000 biweekly? People make typos all the time on these applications. So at the bare minimum, you should go through what they stated their income was, where they work, their address, and perhaps even their job time. This allows you to make sure you have accurate information on the customer and that you've confirmed all those details before moving forward and offering an appointment. And then, of course, when we do offer the appointment, let's do so properly. Ask with authority, choices, and stay in control.
Well, I just did it, so I haven't even had a chance to talk to my husband, but if you give me a little bit of time, let me call him and see what his schedule looks like, and then I can call you back if that's okay.
Okay, Joyce, my name's just ask for me, okay?
There's no rebuttal here to her saying, let me call my husband. What I would have said was, Joyce, I totally understand. My advice would actually be this. How about we go ahead and set up a day and time right now for you and your husband to come in? And then if you check with him and it turns out you guys can't keep that arranged time, it's not a problem. Just give me a call or shoot me a text and I'll find you guys a more convenient day and time. Now, I have openings on Friday or Saturday, which is most likely going to work best for the both of you. Offer them a tentative appointment. What have you got to lose? Ask more than once. Also, if you ask properly the first time, you shouldn't run into this issue.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
So I guess she's just supposed to be psychic as to what his phone number is and how she can get back in touch with him. Or she's just supposed to Google the dealership and get the phone number that way. Just saying, well, call me back when you're ready and not providing any information or offering to text his information or even asking her to write the info down. He doesn't give the location. He doesn't put a follow up plan in place. This is a classic example of someone just feeling kind of defeated by the types of phone calls that they're making and just accepting that it's over because she didn't want to take the appointment in this initial phone call. It doesn't have to be this way. If you ask for the appointment properly and you really try a second time for a tentative and everything you're saying is pertaining to the customer and it makes sense, and you confirm your customer's application answers so your customer does truly feel one step closer to a vehicle now that they know that they're pre-qualified and we tell them we have them pre-qualified, you should have better quality phone calls. But what happened in this call is we didn't build any relationship. We didn't establish any rapport with the customer. And then when the customer gave us an excuse to not take the appointment, we just accepted it and we laid down and we gave up all effort in the rest of the call. Our effort really needs to begin at the beginning of the conversation. We can't be waiting until, we're at the end of the call and we've offered an appointment and they've declined to give our all. You should really start off at the beginning of the conversation with a nice, complete introduction. Tell the customer who you are, where you're calling from, your reason for calling, thank the customer, and always make sure that you mention that you hope you've caught them at a good time to start the conversation off on a positive note. Once you've done that, we should be going through the questions on the application that are detrimental to the customer's approval. So things like where they live, their income, their job time, and then proof of those items as well. Once you've established that the customer does meet your basic minimum requirements and they've confirmed their answers, you should always use the words pre-qualify. Make sure the customer knows that they're pre-qualified based on your minimum requirements and then offer them an appointment correctly. Most of the time when we can't get appointments, it's not necessarily just how we phrase it, but it's also tied directly to the customer's ability to feel like they can get approved. If they're insecure about their ability to get financed, of course they're not going to take the appointment. You have to make sure that the customer's confidence is boosted, and that's the purpose of reviewing the application answers and then also mentioning you have them pre-qualified. But the next step in the process is to have the customer physically come into the store so that we can finalize the application process. We don't want to be calling the customer back and going over details over the phone because then the customer is just going to use us to buy a car from somewhere else. We want to use the appointment as the reason to finalize the application. Have the customer show up with their driver's license, their pay stubs, their piece of mail, whatever you need from them. And then from this point forward, we can use our in-person communication skills to build a further relationship. So hopefully we can get referrals from customers down the road. In this call, there was no follow-up plan. We did not establish a relationship, and it was just like, well, call me when you're ready. Doesn't give out his contact information, only gives their first name, and there's so much missing from here. If you take the amount of time that she spoke versus the amount of time that he spoke, I guarantee you he only spoke about 15% of the conversation. It was basic, just information. I got your app. Do you want to come in? Real lazily offers the appointment. There was not enough effort here. And again, my guess is that this salesperson hears no a lot. So this is how he handles his phone calls because he's sort of given up. But if we take the opportunity to dissect this conversation and think about the fact that we need to get the customer excited about their ability to get financed, and then we change how we ask for the appointment, that is where true success comes from. An insecure customer is not going to come in and buy a car, but someone who believes they can get approved because we've asked them the proper questions and they do meet our basic minimum requirements, or even they've done an app and we can see what they're making and they meet requirements that way. If you build that relationship and you establish that rapport, you're going to have more successful calls. But you do need to change how you're asking for the appointment. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Elevate with C&M Coaching. We'll be back next week with another episode. Don't forget that we are now offering hosted chat. Let us turn your website customers into leads. Give us a call if you're interested or send us an email at info@chat-more.com. We're happy to help out, or you can always call us at 877-900-9461.